Hi parents, hola padres, bienvenidos a la lectura de los miércoles. Por favor no se olviden de escribir su nombre abajo una vez acabe de leer el cuento conmigo para asegurarse de poder darle la asistencia y seguir ayudando con los fondos de TLC Literacy Center. Hi parents, welcome to our Wednesday reading. Please don't forget to write your comment under the video once you are done listening to the story with me, so we can make sure to give you attendance and that you can continue to support Teton Literacy Center with their funding. Thank you so much. Enjoy the reading. Hi class. Today we are going to read page 135 of our book with the chapter of Felipe Gutierrez, close to the end of the book, or the last chapter of the book. Hola padres, hoy vamos a leer la página 100 del capítulo de Felipe Gutierrez. Va a ser nuestro narrador. He's going to be our narrator of our story. And vamos a comenzar en la página 135. De nuevamente el último capítulo del libro. Okay? So now we're going to learn about our narrator. Our narrator is Felipe Gutierrez. I'm reading on the top of page 135. Felipe Gutierrez is a nurse practitioner, un enfermero practicante, employed, contratado o empleado, by Scripps Mercy Hospital in San Diego, California. His path, su camino, toward his chosen profession. Chosen, escogida, profession, profesión. So his path towards his chosen profession led through the Navy, where he had the opportunity, la oportunidad, to work in a military hospital. Today, Felipe frecuentemente, speaks to young audiences, personas que vayan a escucharlo hablar, about the growing need for Hispanic professionals in the field, en el campo, of healthcare, mundo médico. Okay, now we're going to read about our narrator. Now we're going to listen to our narrator, Felipe Gutierrez, speak. I was raised primarily in McAllen, Texas, by my grandmother and great-grandmother, mi abuela y mi bisabuela. I say primarily, primordialmente, because my family dynamics, la dinámica de la familia, were a little complicado. My mom and dad married in Texas and had my 7 older siblings de hermanos y hermanas, en una palabra en inglés, and had my 7 older siblings there. But when mom was pregnant with me, they moved to Utah. Later, they discovered, and my mom remarried and had twins. Perdón, leí eso mal. Later, they divorced, se divorciaron, and my mom remarried and had twins. To make things easier, since there were 8 of us and we lived in a 1-bedroom home, mom sent me to live with her mom back in Texas. For years, I moved back and forth between Texas and Utah. Living with my abuelas was good in a lot of ways. I heard great stories about the old days in Mexico. My great-grandmother, mi bisabuela, had been born in Tampico, Mexico. She told me about the time when Pancho Villa, who was a general in the Mexican Revolution, came through their village, aldea, and she cooked for him. Then she became friends with his wife and traveled with them. Aunque, I was born and raised in the U.S., I think living with those older women helped give me insight, comprensión, into Mexican culture in a way I might not have had otherwise. Otherwise, si no. Como quien dice, si no hubiesen sido por mis abuelas, no hubiese entendido la comprensión en la cultura mexicana como la tuve. Later in my life and career, that insight, esa comprensión o visión, has been important to me. My family members were not well educated. Mom creció, pasado, grew up as a migrant worker, picking crops, cultivos, in the Dakotas, Michigan, and Utah. She had finished 8th grade. My dad, too, had about an 8th grade education. He picked crops, nuevamente cultivos, with my mom's family for a while, but then he got a job as a warehouse worker, como un trabajador en un almacén, for Del Monte's Foods. I did some field work as well. Field work, trabajo en el campo. I remember picking cherries, coger. Cherries son cerezas, onions, cebolla, and potatoes, papas, in Utah. My mom tells me that English was actually my first language, but that's not what I remember. In Abuela's house, Spanish was all we spoke. So when I began school, I did not exactly shine academically. Shine, brillar, exactamente, academically, académicamente. O sea, es que cuando él empezó la escuela, él no exactamente brilló académicamente. Reading and writing in English was difficult, and that was in the era, when you got paddled at school, regañado, at school for speaking Spanish. Overall, en resumen completo, school didn't seem meaningful to me. Meaningful, significativo. I was much more interested in getting home to play marbles, canicas, or ride bikes with the kids next door. Fortunately, afortunadamente, for me, though, my grandmother and aunt had other ideas. They began pushing me, empujando, to do well in school. Although my grandma had no formal education, she had completado, a program for low-income people, low-income, bajo ingreso, to get their certificate as nursing assistants, asistentes de enfermero. And she worked as a home health aide, los ayudantes en las casas para gente mayores de edad. I would go with her sometimes to see clients, mostly elderly people, gente mayor de edad, who were better off than we were. Better off, estaban mejor que nosotros. Not only would she care for the people physically, físicamente, but she'd also cook and clean for them. They liked her very much and would sometimes give her things like dishes, vajillas, and furniture, muebles, that they no longer needed. I enjoyed going with her. She wasn't just making a living, haciendo su vida, she was making a positive difference in somebody's life. I liked that. Observando, her definitely gave me my first idea of becoming a nurse, o convirtiéndome un enfermero. At home, I go to my aunt and uncle's house to study with my cousin. He was a year younger than I, but he was so smart and hardworking that he had skipped, brincado, a grade and was doing homework similar to mine. His example helped me a lot. I began to think of school as important. I saw the praise, el elogio, that my cousin got, and I wanted some of that for myself. I didn't want to be the dummy, el bruto, of the family. In junior high and high school, I was getting pretty good grades, but I had a hard time in other ways. As I moved back and forth between my grandmother's and my mom's homes, I was bullied, molestado en la escuela. I was bullied a lot. In Texas, where almost everyone I knew was Hispanic, most of the other kids were dropping out of school. Dropping out, darse de baja. I was a good student with glasses a bit of a nerd, estudioso, and a little chubby, un poquito gordito. And I got pushed around. Then, in Utah, I was surrounded, tenía personas todo a mi alrededor, by blonde, rubios, mormones. They picked on me for being the weird, el raro, Hispanic kid. While I liked most of my high school classes, I hated school socialmente. In a strange way, en una forma rara, though, being bullied helped me concentrarme on my studies, en mis estudios. I knew that education was going to be the key, la llave, to getting me out of there. It was in high school that I developed a habit, un hábito, I have to this day. I look for help. I ask for help. I take advantage, ventaja, of any opportunity that can advance me towards my goals. I was constantly in the guidance counselor's office. Guidance counselor, el consejero académico que los estudiantes tienen en la escuela. Talking about college. To be honest, the counselors were not all that helpful. I'd hear responses like, well, Felipe, you don't have any money. You need to be realista. And I'd say, okay, but what can I do to make myself the best candidate possible? Candidato. Eventually, I began hearing, well, there is this enrichment program, un programa de beca, or there are these scholarships, dinero becado. And I followed up on all those leads. Leads son eso, sugerencia. The Upward Bound program, for example, was very helpful. The Upward Bound is an organization that helps prepare poor kids for college. Through Upward Bound, I was able to get free tutoring in math and science, classes I was struggling, luchando, with, but needed if I was going to go into the medical field, en el campo médico. By the time I graduated from high school, I'd already earned my certified nursing assistant. Ya se había convertido en un asistente de enfermero. And my license. I went to work in a nursing home where I helped patients with what we call ADL, Activities of Daily Living. Serían actividades del diario vivir, lo que le ayudaba en un sitio de envejeciente. I got patients up, showered, and dressed. This was not easy because many of the patients use wheelchairs, silla de ruedas. Then I made the patients' beds, got them fed, sent them to rehab or therapy, and so on. I liked interactuar, with the patients, but I would watch the RNs, las enfermeras, RN, who supervised us, and I saw them doing more challenging es trabajo más retante, challenging work, such as giving medications, checking for bed sores son úlceras por presión, and dressing wounds. Wounds son heridas, dressing curar las heridas. And they made more money. Then I made what turned out to be a terrific, una increíble decisión para mí. I joined the Navy, el ejército. I was a corpsman. Corpsman significa un hombre de cuerpo. Okay, now we're on the page of 140. We're in the top of page 140. I joined the Navy. I was a corpsman, what is called a medic as elsewhere. O sea, que en el ejército lo llamaban un corpsman, que es un hombre de cuerpo o médico, en realidad un tipo de médico. I was stationed, me pusieron donde tenía que vivir en este sitio específico, in Hawaii for 4 years. As a corpsman at the military hospital, I received amazing training, entrenamiento, in a variedad of fields, campos. O sea que puedo aprender de muchas cosas a la vez. I worked as an X-ray technician, un técnico de rayo X, a pharmacy technician, un técnico de farmacéutica, an emergency room technician, un técnico de sala de emergencias, and then EMT. EMT quiere decir Emergency Medical Trainee, y eso es en español un técnico de emergencias, who would go out when there was an injury on base, cuando era basado en un daño físico. Doing those different jobs really helped me decide what direction I wanted to go in my own training, mi entrenamiento. I watched the MDs, los doctores, in action and thought, that's cool, but do I want to spend all those years in school? I worked in the pharmacy and thought, do I want to just dispense medicines? Dispensar. I thought about being an X-ray tech. Might become boring, aburrido, after a while. What I kept coming back to, lo que me mantiene regresando continuamente, was the idea of becoming a nurse practitioner. That's an RN, una enfermera, with additional training, un enfermero practicante con entrenamiento adicional, at least a master's degree, por lo menos una maestría, who sees patients independientemente, and does a lot of the tasks of a physician without having to go to school forever. So that's what I did. After finishing my time with the Navy, I moved to California, where I enrolled, me registré, in San Diego City College and earned, me gané, my associate degree, un grado asociado, in nursing and biology. It took me 6 years because I was also working as an EMT, un técnico de emergencia, in the local emergency room. Then I moved on to the University of San Diego, which is a very expensive, caro, private school. Estamos en la parte de arriba de la página 141. We're on the top of page 141. But they had a lot of scholarship money, un montón de dinero becado. After my interview, mi entrevista, the admissions people, las personas de admisiones, told me that because I was number 1, a male, number 2, Hispanic, and number 3, poor, they could offer me a lot of financial help. And they did. I also joined the San Diego chapter, capítulo, of the National Association of Hispanic Nurses, which hooked me, que me ayudó a conectar, up with local and national scholarships, con becas locales y nacionales. As always, I was not shy, tímido, about telling everybody I talked to that I was looking for help. I remember representing the National Association of Hispanic Nurses, que significa NAHN, at one conference that was sponsored by Hyundai, the car manufacturer, manufacturante de carros de Hyundai. I was introduced to a Hyundai executive, un ejecutivo de Hyundai, who asked me about myself. And after talking a bit, I said, I'd love to get my master's degree, but I'm not sure where the money will come from. She said, I'm going to get you $2,000. There is a really bittersweet, es bonita y triste a la misma vez, story about how I managed to get through graduate school, como él pudo ir a través de su maestría. I was taking a full course load. Full course load es cuando tienes el máximo de clases que puedes coger en un semestre. And also working full-time at the emergency room. One of the ER nurses was a woman named Barbara Ramsey, who was a retired Navy commander, un comandante del ejército que ya se había retirado. We became friends, and she and her partner, Sherry Henderson, ocasionalmente, asked me to house sit when they were out of town. That was great. House sit es cuando alguien se queda en tu casa protegiéndola o haciendo quehaceres mientras tú te vas de vacaciones o sales. That was great because they had a nice house with a hot tub. And I was living in a pretty ratty es como algo bien feo, no bonito, apartment. Un adjetivo. At work, Barbara was always saying to me, Felipe, you look so tired. You're getting worn out. Worn out es que te estás gastando. You can't work so much and go to school too. Okay, we're on the top of page 142. Then, one day, Barbara and Sherry told me that they had a plan. They thought it was important that I finish my master's degree, and they didn't want me to have to work. They offered to give me $1,500 a month or $1,500 a month while I was in school, enough to support myself. Sadly, neither of those, ninguno of those women is still with us. Sherry died of breast cancer when she was only 56. Barbara died of lung cancer just 3 years later. But Barbara did live long enough to see me finish my master's degree. She was so proud and happy. Proud, orgullosa. I figure they were my angels on earth. And now they are my angels watching over me from heaven, desde el cielo. Today, I am an advanced practice nurse at Scripps Mercy Hospital in San Diego. I continue to be very activo, with my National Association of Hispanic Nurses. Through my job and the National Association of Hispanic Nurses, I frequently visit schools, especially schools with large Hispanic enrollments. Enrollments es con estudiantes registrados hispanos. En los números grandes, pues él va a ver esas escuelas. To talk about careers in the health field. Careers, carreras. The first question I always hear is, can a boy be a nurse? And I say, sure, a boy can be a nurse. Why not? But a lot of us have grown up with the idea that nurses are women. And especially in a culture where machismo is a big thing, there can be some extra pressure, presión, on a guy who chooses to do what might be viewed as a woman's work. For me personally, I never felt that my gender, mi género, was that much of an obstacle, un obstáculo. I was very fortunate, afortunado, to come into nursing through the military, where a lot of very macho guys are nurses. Believe me, nobody ever calls a combat nurse a sissy. Sissy es como una nena. From my family, una persona que no se atreve a hacer nada. From my family, I felt a little, well, not criticism, but just surprised and maybe some hesitation. Que una persona como que no está al 100%. Criticism, crítica. I was asked a few times, but don't you have to be a girl? In general, I think it's just a matter of education, of showing people that yes, there are male nurses, that there are male Hispanic nurses, and that's all good. The fact is that we really, really need more Hispanics of both genders, de ambos géneros, in healthcare. I was president of the National Association of Hispanic Nurses San Diego chapter from 2004 to 2006. And in the underrepresentation, y en la menos representación, of Spanish-speaking people in the medical field was my main concern. La falta de representación en las personas que hablan español en el mundo médico era su preocupación más grande. As the Hispanic population of the U.S. grows, there will be an increasing need, una necesidad más alta, for Hispanic health professionals. Very often, Spanish-speaking people feel demeaned es no tratado igualmente, and ignorado, when they need medical care. When I see patients who don't speak English well, and I speak to them in Spanish, their eyes light up. They're so relieved to be able to communicate. Relieved es sintiéndose más aliviado. And it's not only the language barrier, la barrera de idioma. There are also cultural differences that need to be taken into account in the doctor's office or the hospital. cultural differences, diferencias culturales, and taken into account, es algo que deben ser considerados. I can only speak for Mexicans since I am one, but we all know the estereotipio. Mexicans don't go anywhere alone. They go by the carload con el carro lleno. And it's often true. When a Mexican person is sick or hurt, the whole family shows up with him at the emergency room. Now, as a nurse and as someone who is accustomed to American culture, I see how inconveniente, that can be. Sometimes I feel embarrassed es con pena, when I hear someone groan o quejarse. Oh God, there are all those Mexicans in the waiting room, and now they want to go to the patient's room. But as a Mexican, I also understand how important it is for the patient to have his family around him. When my great-grandmother was in the hospital, for instance, por ejemplo, she needed us there. When she was alone, she was sick, but with her family there, she felt better. She couldn't understand the hospital food and wouldn't eat it. So we cooked for her at home and smuggled in what she wanted. Smuggled es que entraron sin que el hospital se diera cuenta. If medical professionals just strive to wave things like that, si los médicos profesionales solamente tratan to wave things that way, como que empujar las cosas hacia allá y no bregar con ella, that's wrong, that's silly, don't do that. Well, that's not providing good health care. The more people in the medical community are culturally sensitive, tener sensitividad cultural, the better they can manejar, with differences in ways that don't leave the patients feeling confused, insulted, and demeaned. Insulted, insultados, demeaned es cuando te hacen sentir menos de. When Barbara and Sherry helped me earn my master's degree, all they asked in return was that I do what I can to help others pursue their dreams. Pursue es determinadamente seguir tu sueño. In encouraging motivar young people to enter the medical field, I like to think I am honrando my commitment, mi compromiso, to them. So please hear me when I say this. The demand, la demanda, for Hispanic healthcare workers is only going to grow. Providing healthcare is a wonderful and rewarding es que te da mucho para atrás, rewarding way to make a living. If you have an interest, don't let being a guy or Hispanic or poor make you think you can't do it. Maybe you don't have anyone in your life who knows how to give you direction or encouragement, motivación. You might have to do a lot of what I did. Provide your own encouragement. Da a ti mismo tu propio motivación. There are people out there who will help you if you show that you're serious about wanting to succeed de tener éxito. For starters, contact the National Association of Hispanic Nurses chapter in your area. Check out the website at www.thehispanicnurses.org. Information and help are out there waiting for you. Go for it. Okay, padres. Thank you, parents. We have just read the last chapter of the book, but not our last chapter that we will read. Please don't forget to now go to Google Classroom and complete your assignment. And also don't forget your assignment of writing your daily routines from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed in small, short sentences in English, utilizing the past tense. Ok, padres, muchísimas gracias por leer. Leímos el último capítulo del libro, pero todavía no es el último que tenemos, pero sí es el último del libro. Por favor, de aquí vayan a Google Classroom a llenar su asignación y completar la comprensión de lectura que incluye, como siempre. Y no se olviden de enviarme por email la asignación de escribir en el pasado su rutina diaria de un día, puede ser un día que trabajó o un día que no trabajó, no importa, pero tiene que ser en el pasado, del momento que abrió los ojos al momento que cerró los ojos. Enviármelo por email para corregirlo y entonces ustedes lo leerán, primera cosa que haremos en la clase del lunes. Cualquier pregunta me envían un texto o un email. Gracias. Thank you for reading the story, parents. Now, please don't forget to comment your name so we can make sure to give you the attendance. Por favor, hola padres, gracias por escuchar la historia. No se olviden de escribir su nombre en los comentarios abajo para poder darle su asistencia. Gracias, nos vemos el lunes.